time for the hope it will bring. Working together, united as one, under the banner of Jesus, God's Son. Under the banner of Jesus, God's Son. Respond and restore and rebuild is the way of power in action of God's love today. Go the world over so people are blessed. This is the mandate of MDS. This is the mandate of MDS. All kinds of trouble people go through. Disaster could fall upon me or on you. Children inspired in a Sunday school class said, what can we do when the big storm is past? What can we do when the big storm has passed? Now is the time for the hammer to ring. Now is the time for the hope it will bring. Working together, united as one, under the banner of Jesus, God's Son. Under the banner of Jesus, God's Son. Time for the hammer to ring. Now is the time for the hope it will bring. Working together, united as one, under the banner of Jesus, God's Son. Under the banner of Jesus, God's Son. Now is the time for the hammer to ring.
Every time you have a major disaster, a lot of your organizations have to readjust, and that kind of defines the next number of years. And Homestead was one of those changing times for MDS.
So early 90s, 92, 3 in there is where we worked for a couple of years at all the paperwork and getting the papers you need and to separately incorporate and move outside. And once we got out, I realized the benefits of being out, because when you're in the larger MCC complex, you're a piece of a large puzzle, a large organization. You know, we were just getting involved in technology, and if we wanted a computer, you got on the waiting list, and sometime you maybe got a computer. And we needed them in MDS. And so once we got outside of the MCC system, then we could do things at our own speed and at our own choosing, which was a real benefit to grow and to move separately.
In 1998, after 6 years working under Lowell Detweiler, Tom Smucker was invited to be the new MDS Executive Coordinator.
Communications through disaster has really evolved. When I came in the early 90s, we were talking about radios, shortwave radios, because of power lines, telephone lines obviously being down. I remember Lowell got the first cell phone. Man, we thought we were advanced then.
We got a lot of youth involved in MDS during the years of the 70s, so we had summer youth squads.
This program brought youth from anywhere in Canada and the US, and they would usually follow up in major disasters where a longer-term response was required.
We had as high as 40 and 50 young people on various project locations.
That was a good opportunity for young people to get to know others and see people from different perspectives.
One of the probably more touching stories was not necessarily involving individuals, but involving the church community in Bolaji, Alabama.
In the mid-90s, African-American churches in the South were being burned one after the other. And somebody said, isn't there anything MDS can do to show we care about that?
We built that church with youth program.
And so we went to Bolaji, Alabama, and we rebuilt an African-American church. One of the most meaningful experiences, I think, in MDS's history.
In its early years, MDS sometimes organized international disaster response projects. Since the mid-1980s, its occasional international involvement has been at the invitation of MCC.
It wasn't until the year 2000, actually, that they bought the current building that's the MDS headquarters and moved out of MCC facilities.
As MDS marked 50 years of service, the new century brought an increasing number and scale of disasters. In 2004, the MDS board appointed Kevin King as the new executive director.
We get the news that Hurricane Charlie is coming down on the western coast of Florida, but then only to be followed by Francis, Jean, and Hurricane Ivan. So 4 hurricanes in 2004 was quite a warm-up. It was my immersion into MDS. At that time, we thought we had enough of staff and a response. We were busy with Florida. But then came Hurricane Katrina. We realized this was an extraordinary event that demanded extraordinary response.
People is the key to MDS, and it's the key to the memories that we have.
When you ceremoniously hand that key over to the homeowner with the comforter, with the Hammering's Hope book, with the Bible, and a prayer of blessing, that's one of the greatest moments there are.
volunteers going out are incentive for others in the church to become more active.
Really gave another segment of the church an opportunity to use their gifts of service.
Without them, there would have been no organization.
It's the service arm of the Mennonite Church.
They were the ones, after all, the volunteer worker is the one that made MDS.
Our mandate is to respond to natural and man-made disasters in the U.S. and Canada and their territories.
That's a slogan that I heard many a time. I got more than I gave.
I think the mission of MDS should continue to be helping those who need us most.
The organization that connected the volunteer with the person in need. And I think that general connection, that role will stay the same.
And also, I think it's very important in MDS for those who want to be involved is to pray.
Disasters and people affected by disasters are in the increase. More people live along the coast where the hurricanes hit, river valleys and other places where there are floods, in earthquake-prone areas, in Tornado Alley.
But I think there are times when we can do more on strengthening, hardening these homes, weatherization programs.
Be better prepared and continue to prepare people.
That's something perhaps in the future we need to look more at. MDS has also found its niche in long-term recovery. And in many of these projects, we're staying longer. Look at the Gulf Coast. We're there now, approaching 5 years in many of those communities.
There will be more opportunities than ever for MDS's involvement, and it's been great to see the way that younger blood that was needed, the Tom Smookers, the Kevin Kings, you folks that are leading MDS now, are responding to that.
The new level of volunteers has doubled. Take the last 5-year average from 2,000 now to around 4,000 to 5,000 a year of volunteers.
During most of my time, there were 2 or 3 at the most of us in the MDS staff. The grassroots nature of MDS has still been there, even though staff has been expanded to organize that.
Also, the number of clients, people affected by disasters that we now respond and work with has doubled as well. From around 200 to 250 a year, MDS is responding, and our new average now is around 700, 750 families a year.
But the need is only going to get larger. And I pray and trust that MDS will be there creatively changing to meet those needs.
It's almost theological. You respond to people's needs, you help them, you rebuild, and you restore their life.
Those examples of being out there in service and the relationships and the growth in your faith and experience that happens strengthens your faith, your commitment to service, your commitment to God.